But Dylan, did you say where are you based? Brussels, did you say?
Yeah, so I'm based in Brussels, but I'm usually from France.
Yeah.
Right.
Oh, amazing. And you've had when I looked. I mean, I stalked you back. I think what maybe last summer we started talking about trying to get
Right.
together and try and record a podcast, and I just got too caught up in my work, and I think I was traveling a bit. But you've got quite a varied sort of role. Well, a bunch of different roles in procurement and also supply chain, right? And you've got
Right.
quite a breadth of experience here. Could you maybe talk to me about that? Because I'm curious for one.
No, no, it's a great question. I started my career as a forklift driver
Yeah,
without
I
any
saw.
ambition or anything, but I started from the ground and step by step, I wanted to understand more how a company worked. So first, I was in a warehouse. I said, okay, why do we receive these pallets now? Why do these drivers are late or on time, etc., etc. And step by step, I started thinking about, okay, but what's going on? What is going to happen later, or what happened
Mm,
before it? And step by step, by meeting the right people and having, I hope, the right mindset and curiosity, I evolved into different roles until 5 years ago in procurement. And yeah, I started working as a buyers and supplier performance managers. And then I got a procurement manager roles in the US, but I was also managing the transportations topics, which why my background in supply chain helped me to understand also
yeah,
some technical
absolutely.
aspects. And recently, I've been working as a consultant in usually in Brussels, where I provide three kind of services: advisory, interim management, and trainings. And recently, I've started creating my training, which is on AI, on how to use the different large language model, which like
Yeah,
ChatGPT, Copilot, etc., and how to use those tools without no nonsense. You know what I mean? Like how to apply
absolutely.
those tools, how to use those tools, for example, in the source to contract process.
Yeah, I love that, Dylan. And I see a lot of content right now, and maybe this is just because I've gone down the rabbit hole of AI so much in the last couple of years, but
Right.
all I see is NAN workflow graphs everywhere. And there's like 50 different things going on. And I'm like, oh, there's a lot of smoke and mirrors there. Effectively, people just building workflows that occasionally interact with a large language model, but it's probably not that's the BS element there. So I'm glad you're kind of looking to dispel this. And I actually saw one of your posts actually just earlier because I was had a rare 5 minutes to look on LinkedIn, and
Right.
I think the post was something to the point of like, was it like a 30% time saving or something? You're seeing way more productivity just using ChatGPT at the moment, and I kind of just wanted to get your thoughts on how has it helped you in any kind of work that you've been doing, whether it's just being able to get more ideas, being more productive, getting actual outputs. Because I still talk to people, and I think for those of us who are actually using ChatGPT daily and using AI daily, it's almost like, oh, the whole world is actually using this. But the reality is, not everyone is actually using it just yet for their work and to help them there.
It's a great point, and you know what? I still think the majority of people still don't use ChatGPT, Copilot, etc., etc. And I think it's due to three things. One, a lack of understanding. What is AI? What I like to say is that AI is digital brains into big computers. Okay,
Mm,
so you're gonna have digital brains able to work with you to get you faster and to make you think and work in a very efficient way. That's the first thing. The second thing, I think, is really about the practice. You have to practice. You have to use these tools. And first of all, you're like, oh wow, that's amazing. I'm just gonna
yeah,
ask something and it's amazing. Or maybe sometimes people don't know how to ask, but quickly you can see more and more videos on LinkedIn how to prompt, how to write message, etc., etc. Right? Um,
yeah,
and I think the more you practice, the more you see the value. Okay, and there will be some point, it's like change management. Like first you're like, oh, I don't know what's going on, then you start getting excited, but then, oh no, it's not gonna work, etc., etc., and then you start seeing the values. And I see ChatGPTs and all the AI tools on the market like this. I see it in 4 phases. One, discovery, like these tools exist, but you haven't used yet. Two, you start using them, but you focus on the universal task. You know what I mean? Like, okay, let me help me draft an emails. Please summarize me this meeting, etc., etc. No
The
matter
more
if you work.
basic stuff, right?
Yes,
Like
the
the
more basics,
or like,
exactly.
oh, give me a shopping list, or you try and like incorporate it in maybe some of your personal life as well, with like, oh, I need some help there. Absolutely.
Yeah, there are 1 million of use cases, I think.
Yeah.
And I think this phase is really important because you have to try again, again, and again. And then
Yes.
at some point you will go to application where you will see business cases, and you're going to say, oh, maybe I can use ChatGPT to draft me specifications or to compare some supplier offers, things like that. And
Yes.
then it's about prioritizing, like, okay, maybe I have 20, 25 business use cases. I know in 2025, these use cases are very efficient with those tools. Some are not. Okay, it's okay, but maybe it's going to change in the future. That's the third phase
Yeah.
is. And I think the last phase is like the transformation phase, what I call the transformation phase, which is you start creating your assistant, you start hearing about AI agentic, these kind of things that will take you to the next level, I think, as a human and as a company, if that makes sense.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. I really like how you kind of broke that down. I hadn't really thought about it too much like that, but it makes complete sense. And if I think about when I started playing around, when I think was it GPT 3.5 when they it suddenly dropped, and you were like, oh, this thing can actually like. It almost felt like it was thinking, but it clearly wasn't at the time. But it was such a level up from any kind of computer interaction that you had compared to now, whereas like you said, I think one of the examples you mentioned there was comparing supplier offers. Like I was messing around doing that last week for real for us at Gatekeeper, and it was phenomenal. The outputs I got, it was far better than anything I've ever done manually as a procurement practitioner in my previous life prior to Gatekeeper. It absolutely destroyed any of the work I would have done, and it gave us such clarity so that we could make a decision, I would say fairly quickly, like within
Mm,
an hour of doing that work. And that was only because the time lag of the reviewers coming in, right? So there's a huge amount of I say there's a large amount of opportunity here.
yeah.
But also with that, Dylan, kind of what I do see and what I do hear is this fear that we could be replaced in certain roles or certain tasks. And I just wanted to kind of throw that over quite broadly here, and happy to have a conversation around this. But kind of your thoughts about this. Do you think that people should be fearful, or is this exciting? Because the way I look at it, and I'll maybe share my view here, is that we get stuck doing a bunch of jobs to be done if we think about the framework like that. And there's a lot of work that isn't very rewarding. A lot of reviewing vast amounts of data, doing lots of checks, moving data around, and then trying to turn that into something that we can use. And I feel like a lot of
Right.
that work can be outsourced to AI and generative AI, and then a layer above that, the agentic solutions. That's just kind of my view on it. I hope it kind of frees us up to do more, but I'd be really keen to
Mm,
hear your view as well.
I really think it depends on your industry, the job that you do. I think last week I saw something on LinkedIn saying the percentage of things that AI will do by department. So you had
Yeah,
IT, finance, operations, procurement. Procurement was about 70%, right?
yeah,
Which is a lot, but when you compare to other departments, IT, HR, etc., it's more around 95%, which is
yeah.
crazy. Okay. So the first news is that we still have the human side, which
Still a room
requires,
for some humans.
voilà. I think, like you want to be a strategic advisor in procurement. You don't want to be just a cost killer or someone who plays peers. And this is where I see AI as an opportunity for people to delegate those tasks that they've been doing. just to make things work. Okay, place urgent PO, stuff like that, and really focus on the value added and why you started working in procurement. I think, right?
It's a
Because
really good way to put it. Yeah.
you know, like, okay, you're gonna do a roadmap, you're gonna negotiate with internal suppliers, you're gonna bring a new product to the market, etc., etc. And then the reality in some organizations, depending
Yeah.
on the procurement maturity level, of course, you're gonna see that the reality is different. So I really see AI as a way to have fun from my point of
Yeah.
view, but I think our jobs will evolve as well. Some jobs, some job title will disappear. For example, the P2P aspect of procurement, I think it's gonna be automated. You know, there's a lot of solutions already, but I think we are still at the beginning of the
We're
AI
almost
era.
there, really, aren't we? With
Yeah,
the automation with traditional SaaS in the P2P
yeah,
spaces. You know, if it's well implemented, and arguably
right.
there's a number of solutions that you can bring in that will let you do this.
Mm,
You're very hands off, freeway matching, the you know, at the end and everything getting done, the purchase request, all sorts of bits there that just combine with your ERP and things. It already feels possible. It just feels like the generative AI element to help tie all of this together just makes it so much easier, right? So I'm with you. I think there could be a number of roles or a large number of tasks that are
right.
currently associated with a particular role will be
Mm,
outsourced. And I think like the way you put it is like remember why you got into procurement in the first place and the promises. And like you
mm,
say, the reality is you get in and you're like, oh, I'm stuck in spreadsheets. I'm stuck in email chains. I'm stuck doing this work that is at times completely unfulfilling. And I've
right.
had those roles where at times I was like, I need to leave. I need to leave procurement. This is not the promise that I
Mm.
was made when I was trying to get this role here.
No, no, you're completely right. And you know what? I think when you think about AI, you need to think about both sides. Okay, the opportunities. I am optimistic, so I really see this as an opportunity and a
Yeah.
way of having fun and bringing more values, also within your company, but also on the market. But you need to, I think, to be curious about the risk. So I would talk about risk awareness. So don't watch a series, maybe TV series Black Mirrors because you will think too much. You know
Yeah,
what I
that's.
mean?
I think that's a good shout there. Yeah.
But you know, like for example, what you could do is there are, I think, a lot of, let's say, use of your common sense. For example, if you use some different tools, don't share sensitive information, don't share anything about your identity, etc., etc. But what you can also do is, as a company, not only as a department, work with IT or with external experts on, for example, how to build an AI policy, which explain what is AI,
Yeah, I love
how,
that.
you know what I mean, like how to protect yourself as a
Hmm.
person and as a company. And I think it's something you have to do it as a team, and I think you will be able to do it faster with AI, if that makes sense.
Yeah, yeah, no, it absolutely does. And actually, it's just something we've been working on at Gatekeeper over the last few months. So we've just created a role which is head of AI. The guy Tom has also got head of product role,
Mm,
so he's multifaceted now. But we've just built our AI policy, and we kind of have a no BS element around security. Like security is paramount on everything. Like we have a chat GPT team or enterprise account. I can't remember which one we're on right now, but all our data is quite secure in there. But there, even still, there's certain types of data we would never put in there. Customer data being one, right? So
right.
you need that clarity throughout the entire organization. Right? If you're just doing it in a silo, it becomes quite difficult. But like you say, just getting aligned on what you can do and can't do with typically with data in a variety of different AI systems is a really good shout there. Do you have
And,
any? Oh, sorry, go, Dylan.
no, no, and I'm like also, you know, like if you have an AI policy, you're comfortable with this kind of tools, then you can start creating your assistant or maybe your digital colleagues. You know, AI compliance, AI risk, all these kind of things, documentations, all these kind of words. You know, like it's like when you're a garden, sometimes, I'm in a park and I watch the sky and I see some clouds, and I see
Yeah.
because it's more like procurement nightmare, in the park. I see like documentation or placing urgent
Mm.
PO, this kind of thing. I'm like, oh, okay, but I don't want to think about it right now. But anyway, but
Yeah, yeah.
you want to build your assistants to do these kind of things in a safe
Mm.
way and to rethink how to do your job and how to bring values to the market and to your
Yeah.
company, I think.
Yeah, actually, I think that's just a really good. I'm going to pull up on the phrasing you just used, which is rethink your job, like
Yeah.
rethink how you work. And I think there is, I've been seeing almost daily on X and LinkedIn, various CEOs almost virtual signaling about their change of their organization. I think Fiverr was the one I saw last, which is we have to be agentic first, and yes, jobs are at risk. The CEO admitted even his job potentially is at risk, and I think that's really just to get people moving. But I think
Mm,
there is an element of a lot of these big tech companies, especially almost rethinking their operating model, and you
right.
know whether it's the best thing to do for every procurement team. I'm not sure, but I think there is elements of just rethinking how we are doing the role that will be incredibly beneficial to so many.
And it's like when you work with different departments, you have your internal customers. Sometimes people don't want to work with procurement. It
Yeah, very
happens. It
true.
has happened. But when you think about it, why? Because they see
Hmm.
procurement as something too slow, bureaucratic, process that keep changing, etc., etc. Again, AI is going to change this. AI is going to help procurement to make things faster, smarter, and more understandable for customers, I think. So, in a way,
Yeah,
you improve the customer experience you bring to your internal customers, and that's the best way to get involved, I think, early in the process.
yeah, I'm in complete agreement with you on that. I think the possibilities are huge. We're actually just at Gatekeeper. The reason I've been so busy is we're launching an agentic solution on Monday. So next Monday in 3 days. So that's been taking my time up, and I've been playing around with it a lot. And I was just like, oh, I'm kind of blown away by how fast it does this work that used to take me genuinely hours, days. It's ridiculous in a good way. I mean, so I think the future's very bright based on what I'm seeing being created out there. I think Dylan, there might be some people listening to us talk as two, let me say, two optimistic guys on
Right,
a podcast chatting about how amazing AI is. But the reality for them is they're just not getting that buy-in internally.
right.
And I don't know whether you had any thoughts about how they start persuading maybe their boss, their manager, the wider company to start adopting of these new ways of working. I think it's a real big challenge, right? Because if it's not a top down motion, this could be really hard because we are fundamentally talking about changing everything or exposing data or processes to
Mm,
new and unknown elements. Do you have any tips, any thoughts around that? And I have put you quite on the spot here, Dylan, with this question.
no, no, it's okay. No, like now I work as a procurement consultant, but when I was a buyer, for example, like if I was a buyer in 2025, I would think about, all the pain points that I have, okay, and how can I reduce these pain points through technology, through collaboration, through different things. So I will think about finding different business cases. And for example, like purchasing assistant, you may say, okay, my job is going to disappear soon, maybe, or maybe not. Enfin, maybe people may think no, but I think it's gonna be a big change. You may see an
Absolutely.
opportunity.
Yeah.
You may say, okay, I've been doing this for 5 years, 10 years. Maybe I can become an expert on this, on how to implement AI within the
Mm,
P2P process. You know what I mean? Like, okay, because when you use this kind of tools, one of the most important skill is critical thinking. Okay, you get a
oh, yes.
result and you're like, okay, you need this experience to see if the results are great or not. And I think like when you see a threat, maybe I'm too optimistic, but you can see also opportunities on how to transform your job or maybe how to create your own jobs.
Mm.
So that's probably my tip. See
I actually really
opportunity.
like that, Dylan. I actually love that concept there, and I think there's absolutely something to there, right? Because expertise isn't going away at all, right? And to that point, right, the level of critical thinking that's needed to be able to interact and engage with the
Right.
outputs of AI, you need great skills there. You really need to be able to interrogate what is done. And the only way you can do that is if you have a level of knowledge that is considerable, I would say. I think, if you've been in the role a few months and you've not really picked up the skills yet, and yeah, that's a huge risk. But in that scenario, if you've been doing the role for a number of years and you can reframe that role and you become the person that's responsible for the solutions, the tech under you, and you've outsourced a lot of that, but you're still there as that human in the loop, that critical thinker, let's say, to say, actually, this is working exactly as planned, or actually, for whatever reason right now, it's making a lot of
Mm,
dumb decisions. And perhaps that
mm,
is like in the back end, the prompt isn't quite right, or it's not getting access to the right tools to go in and actually make the right decision. So I really like that idea, and I think that's a great way to. I think people need to have that shift somewhat now.
no, yeah, you're. I mean, I completely agree. And like when you talk about automation, I think that's the word that make people afraid. Automation. Oh my God.
Yeah,
Yeah, automation is, I think, an amazing opportunity, but it can be very dangerous because you don't want to automate a task that is not made to you or based on data which has very low quality.
mm.
Again, as someone that you've been doing the job for years, you will be able to say, and you will be one of the few able to say, we cannot yet automate this task because, okay, we've been focusing on financial priorities with the cost, etc. But let's think about the organizational priorities and start, let's say, cleaning our data, which is not a
Yeah,
sexy job, but a necessary job,
definitely not. It's a
right?
yeah. I actually I do think that's really a really great point there. That almost being the person in the organization, or one of many, hopefully, that can say actually these five areas look ripe for us to do something with, but we've got a number of issues around here, whether it's our current data, and we need to improve that or figure out a way to just get better data coming in. Yeah, I think you're absolutely onto to something there. It will make a huge difference. I mean, Dylan, just as we approach the end here,
Oh
my
wow,
last
really?
it's gone super fast, man. We're gonna have to do a part two for sure at some
Right.
point, but later this year for sure. But I would almost want to ask you this, and this is a bit of a weird but wonderful question. So, if you had a
Right.
magic wand and you could just wave it, and AI or technology could do something
Mm,
new for you in procurement, where would you kind of direct that energy? Like, what would you kind of hope for? Whether it's having a huge portion of work automated, or maybe unlock some tasks that we never quite get to. I always, and my example here, Dylan, is I love the idea of supplier relationship management as
right.
a proper system for managing suppliers, or at least your strategic suppliers. But I feel like you never get to it. It's always the last thing that you think about. You've always got so much other work to get to. And I kind of hope one day the busy work goes and we can really focus on that. That's my example there that I would love to see. But I'm just really intrigued to see if you had any kind of thoughts around that.
That's a great question. It's not very original, but I think our
Doesn't need to
job
be.
is really human. So we
Hmm.
talk and deal with people, okay, internally and externally, which is really interesting. You have marketing, sales, procurement, some department, but not so many if you think about it. And I think I would love, and I am going to work on it, I would love to optimize some, for example, everything related to contract management to really focus on the moment with my suppliers and my internal customers to bring value to the market or to bring value within my company, because I think you know it very well. Contract management is
Yeah.
really, really important in terms of the risk, in terms of performance, in terms of many different aspects. And I think, yeah, I would go with this So try to delegate the contract management part to really focus on the relationship that I've been trying to build with suppliers, and
Yeah.
also see, like their visions, because the concept of supplier innovations. You know what I mean? You're like,
Yeah,
okay,
yeah, yeah,
you,
and it never. It's almost a promise that's never realized in so many instances, right? Like
mm,
the reason we want to work with a range of diverse suppliers typically is to help innovate our own business, or have them actively bring things to us. But the reality is, most of our suppliers don't even know we want that from them because we can't articulate it because we never have the time to actually go to them and have these kind of life-changing conversations, like real conversations. We're just stuck in emails or busy work.
yeah, yeah, and the cultural aspect also is really important. Depending if you deal with someone from I don't know, from France, from the US, from Tunisia, from China.
Massive
It,
point.
it it can be a little bit complex, but I think it's why it's really really interesting. And like when you talk to a sales manager, when you talk to a supplier, they deal with different buyers as well. You know what I mean?
Yes, there's a lot of
So,
different buyer profiles for
so,
sure.
so for them, like a 30-minute call or 1 hour call, or it's very sometimes short to see which topic you can bring to the table, and usually like innovations is not the first one, unfortunately, due to many things, because we
Hmm.
run out of time, this kind of
Yeah,
thing.
so many other things, right? Like, oh, are you actually going to deliver on time, or like, does this make sense?
Mm,
Like, did you get our invoice? Just like a load of just like admin, typically level
maybe
things.
like having different AIs on the supplier side and the buyer side.
Just interact with one
You
another,
know,
right?
yes, interact, or even
To do
before. You
that.
know what I mean? Like it's like, okay, prepare all the elements, discuss all the elements before, and then
Hmm.
you can focus more on the value and the relationship during the call, if that makes sense.
Yeah, no, it absolutely does. I think a shortcut to proper, meaningful conversations has to be one of the promises of any AI implementation going forwards. I think that there's absolutely something to that. Dylan, I just want to give you the opportunity to say, like, where can people find you? I know you're on LinkedIn, and I would urge everyone to go connect with you over there and get reading some of your content. Is there anywhere else that we can direct people to, or is LinkedIn the best place there?
Yeah, the LinkedIn is the best place, but let me tell you something. Sometimes, because I like meeting people, I do Uber Eats driver. And if you are in Brussels and you just order something on Uber, maybe you can get me as a driver.
I
So
love that. That's
that's
amazing.
another
What
way
a cheeky
to
little
meet
side
me,
hustle.
maybe. But of course, the main and the most efficient way is probably
Hmm.
LinkedIn.
Yeah, well, if anyone's in Brussels, then absolutely just send you a DM for one on LinkedIn and try and make that happen. But Dylan, this has been, like I said, an absolute pleasure to talk to you today. I've been really looking forward to, like we said, we started talking last summer about trying to do something. It's taken
Yeah.
a little while, mainly completely 99% of that is my fault. But I just wanted to thank you. This has been absolutely refreshing to talk to you about what is at the moment probably the most hyped topic for anyone in any knowledge working role like this. But yeah, thanks so much for coming on today.
Yeah, thank you so much for inviting me. It was very fun, and I hope people had a great experience listening to us. And let's keep in touch.